I always imagined betrayal would come with flashing neon signs. You know, something dramatic, a lipstick stain on a collar, a suspicious hotel receipt, maybe a hidden letter with some cliché nonsense like, "I never meant to hurt you." But, but no, that's not how it happened for me. I didn't get a warning, a dramatic confession, or even the dignity of a proper blindside. Instead, my wake-up call came in the form of a missing coffee mug. Yeah, a mug. It was a Tuesday morning, which is the worst day of the week if you ask me. Monday at least has the decency to announce itself. You wake up already knowing it's going to be terrible. But Tuesday? Tuesday sneaks up on you, pretending to be innocent, only to smack you across the face with a pile of emails and the realization that the weekend is nowhere in sight. So there I was, standing in the kitchen, half asleep, reaching for my usual coffee mug, the one I'd used every morning for the past 6 years. White ceramic, with a ridiculous phrase Jessica had gotten printed on it for my birthday. Caution, may contain genius. A joke, obviously, but I liked it. It was mine. It was part of the sacred morning ritual. Wake up, coffee, pretend I have my life together. Only, it wasn't in the cabinet. I frowned. Checked the sink. Nothing. The dishwasher? Empty. Not even a single dirty dish. Which was strange because, let's be honest, Jessica and I weren't exactly the type to wake up in the middle of the night to do the dishes. "Jessica." I called up the stairs. "Did you see my mug?" Silence. Then, after a beat, her voice drifted down from the bedroom. "Check the cabinet." "Already did." A pause. Maybe it broke? It wasn't a bad suggestion, except for one thing. I knew that if Jessica had broken something, I'd have heard about it. Not because she'd feel guilty, but because she had this incredible ability to turn any accident into an attack on her personal well-being. I can't believe I broke it. Why do I always ruin everything? You should just wrap me in bubble wrap and roll me down the street. It would have been a whole thing. There would have been guilt snacks involved. But I hadn't heard a word about it. Weird. I let it go for the moment, but the mystery of the missing mug itched at me all morning. It wasn't until lunch that I noticed something even stranger. Jessica's car keys were missing from the bowl near the front door. That might not seem like a big deal, except for the fact that Jessica worked from home on Tuesdays. It was part of some deal she'd made with her boss, a day free from the soul-sucking wasteland of corporate life. Her words, not mine. Usually, she'd be in the living room, laptop open, surrounded by 3 half-finished glasses of water because she somehow forgot she already poured them. But today? No laptop. No Jessica. Just an empty house and a nagging feeling I couldn't shake. I shot her a text. "Me. Hey, where'd you go?" No response. An hour later, I tried again. "Me. Did you get kidnapped? Blink twice if you need help." Still nothing. Now, I'm not the kind of guy who automatically assumes the worst. I don't go full conspiracy theory mode just because my wife left the house. But something felt off. It was the combination of things. The missing mug. The empty dishwasher. The keys. It was like someone had come in and wiped away tiny pieces of my routine, little details that weren't big enough to notice on their own, but, together, felt like a misplaced puzzle piece. I went upstairs to check our bedroom, thinking maybe she'd left a note, or honestly, I don't know what I was expecting. Instead, I found the closet. Or, more accurately, what used to be the closet. Jessica's side? Half empty. Now, when I say half empty, I don't mean a few shirts were missing. I mean entire sections of the closet were gone. Dresses, jackets, shoes, all missing. Even her ridiculous collection of scarves had vanished, and she owned enough of those things to strangle an entire city. I stood there, staring at the gaping space where her things used to be, my brain desperately trying to come up with a logical explanation. Maybe she was cleaning out her wardrobe. Maybe she finally followed through on her threat to donate all the things that no longer spark joy. But then I noticed something else. The suitcase. Or, once again, the lack of one. Jessica had this beaten-up maroon suitcase, the one she always used for trips. It had a busted wheel that made an annoying squeak every time she dragged it across the floor. That thing had survived years of business trips, family holidays, and one memorable weekend getaway where we both got food poisoning from a sketchy seafood buffet. And now it was gone. I sat down on the edge of the bed, my mind racing through 1,000 possibilities, each one worse than the last. Was she leaving me? Had something happened? Had I? And then I saw it. Not a note. Not a message. Something even better. Jessica had left her laptop on the nightstand. Now, before you judge me, let's get one thing straight. I am not that guy. I don't snoop. I don't go through my wife's personal things. But when your wife's closet is half empty, her suitcase is gone, and she's not answering your messages, you look. I reached for the laptop, opened it up, and there it was. An email. Not just any email. A travel itinerary. Jessica wasn't at work. She wasn't running errands. She wasn't kidnapped by some overly ambitious door-to-door salesman. She was on a flight. A flight scheduled weeks ago. A one-way ticket. And the destination? Not somewhere she'd ever mentioned before. Not anywhere I would have expected. But somewhere that, in hindsight, made way too much sense. And just like that, the missing coffee mug didn't seem so important anymore. The email sat open on Jessica's laptop, mocking me in plain Arial font. One-way ticket. Pre-booked weeks ago. Destination. Some city I'd never heard her mention in the entire 8 years we'd been married. Now, I'd like to say my first reaction was something noble, like deep self-reflection or an immediate search for logical explanations. Instead, I just sat there, blinking, while my brain ran in circles like a fool trying to convince me I wasn't seeing what I was seeing. Maybe she just needed a break. Maybe she'd gotten really into meditation and decided to take an impromptu solo retreat. Maybe she'd joined a cult and was off to drink weird vegetable juice with people who believed in moon energy. I clicked on the details. First-class seat. Booked 3 weeks ago. Okay, that was interesting. Jessica was a lot of things, but first-class traveler wasn't one of them. She was the type to smuggle full-sized bottles of shampoo in her carry-on just to avoid paying for checked luggage. The type who once made us stay in a hotel that didn't have windows because she wanted to save $50. And now she was out here, dropping money on first-class tickets? I scrolled down, looking for more. And then, buried under the flight confirmation, I found a hotel reservation. 5-star. Spa package. Ocean view suite. Jessica, my Jessica, who once got into an actual argument with a gas station clerk over the price of bottled water, was suddenly out here treating herself like royalty. At that point, the explanation was practically writing itself. Still, I wasn't about to make accusations without evidence. I needed more than a first-class ticket and a fancy hotel stay. I needed something concrete. I opened her email search bar and typed the name of the city. That's when I found his name. Now, I don't want to be dramatic, but if my life were a crime scene, this was the moment when the detective finds the bloody footprint. A name I didn't recognize, appearing in multiple email threads, mixed in with words like reservation and itinerary and excited to see you. At that point, I had 2 choices. Close the laptop, take a deep breath, and wait for Jessica to come home so we could talk about this like mature adults. Click on the emails and invade every single ounce of her privacy like a full-blown detective in a bad TV show. Guess which one I picked? The emails weren't even well hidden. No secret folder, no fake account, no clever code names. Just sitting there, in her regular inbox, like she wasn't even trying to hide them. Which, honestly, made it worse. She wasn't afraid of getting caught. She expected me not to check. And there it was, in writing. Jessica and some guy named Landon Westbrook, because of course his name was Landon, had been planning this little getaway for weeks. The emails weren't overly romantic, but they didn't need to be. The details spoke for themselves. Dinners. Excursions. A hotel suite booked under his name. The last email was the real kicker. Can't wait to finally have some uninterrupted time together. See you soon. L. Now, I'll be honest. I sat there for a solid 5 minutes, just letting the absurdity of the situation sink in. Jessica, my wife, the woman who once made me turn the car around because she forgot a coupon, was having some kind of secret vacation with a guy who had the audacity to sign his name as just L. The arrogance. The absolute confidence of it. And the most insulting part? Jessica wasn't even creative about it. No fake business trip. No elaborate lie. Just a full-blown vacation with some guy who signed his emails like a pretentious poetry major. And that's when I made my decision. I wasn't going to text her. I wasn't going to call. I wasn't going to wait by the door like some clueless sitcom husband waiting for the punchline. I was going to let her come home. And then, I was going to ruin her day. The thing about betrayal is that you don't really feel it all at once. It doesn't hit like a brick to the face. No, it sneaks up on you in waves. 1 minute, you're scrolling through emails like some underpaid detective, thinking, wow, she really thinks I'm fool. And the next, you're sitting on the couch staring at the wall, realizing your entire marriage has been about as solid as a wet paper towel. I didn't move for a while. Not because I was sad, sadness would have made sense. But this wasn't sadness. This was irritation. Like when you stub your toe on the same piece of furniture twice in one day. Jessica, My wife of 8 years had booked herself a vacation with some guy named Landon. And I was just supposed to. What? Sit here and wait for her to come back? Act surprised when she eventually rolled through the door with some terrible excuse? No, that wasn't happening. If Jessica was expecting to walk in and find her usual husband, the one who reminded her to take an umbrella when it rained, the one who fixed the Wi-Fi when it mysteriously stopped working, the one who pretended to be interested when she showed me pictures of different types of throw pillows, she was about to be very, very disappointed. I grabbed my keys. Not because I had some grand plan, but because sitting there, stewing in my own thoughts, was about as productive as trying to teach a fish how to ride a bicycle. My first stop? The bank. Now, let me be clear, I wasn't some vengeful lunatic about to drain our accounts and flee to another country. But let's just say I wanted to do a little rearranging. Jessica had a habit of using our joint account for everything. Her personal account existed in theory, but if you asked her how much money was in it at any given moment, she'd probably stare at you like you just asked her to recite the periodic table. Which meant if she wanted to go on a luxurious getaway, she was expecting to use our money. Which meant she was expecting my money. And that was just hilarious. The banker gave me the usual "Are you sure you want to move this much" look, and I gave him the absolutely, my good sir nod. A few clicks, a signature, and just like that, our joint account had a brand new balance, $17.38. I stared at the number for a second, appreciating the absolute poetry of it. $17.38. Enough for a coffee. Maybe a toll fee. Not much else. Jessica was going to land in paradise expecting champagne, and instead, she was going to get declined at check-in. I walked out of the bank feeling fantastic. Now, I could have left it at that. I could have just sat back and waited for her inevitable meltdown. But no, this was personal now. Jessica wanted to play games? Fine. Let's play. Next stop, her office. I walked into the building with the confidence of a man who had absolutely nothing to lose. The receptionist gave me a polite smile, probably assuming I was dropping off something sweet for my loving wife. Oh, Brenda. Sweet, innocent Brenda. Hey, Joseph. She chirped. Jessica's out today. Want me to leave something on her desk? Oh, no need, I said, all charm. Just need to check something on her computer real quick. Now, here's where it helps to have a wife who treats passwords like an optional suggestion. I sat down at her desk, opened her work email, and oh, this was even better than I expected. Jessica, in her infinite genius, had not only emailed Landon Westbrook from her work account but had been sending him company files. Confidential files. The kind of files that companies tend to get very upset about when shared outside of company walls. I took a moment to let that sink in. Jessica, in the middle of her big romantic escape, had also decided to commit a federal crime. Beautiful. I didn't forward the emails or take screenshots. I wasn't trying to destroy her life. No. That would be too easy. Instead, I printed them. Because nothing says surprise like your own terrible decisions, printed in crisp, bold ink. I left them neatly stacked on her desk with a sticky note that read, "Might want to get ahead of this. Love, Joseph." Then, because I believe in making an exit memorable, I turned to Brenda and said, "You know, Brenda, I think I'll leave a surprise for Jessica after all. Maybe a little early welcome back gift." Brenda beamed. "Oh, that's sweet. You two are adorable." "Oh, you have no idea." Then I walked out, humming to myself, while Jessica's entire week silently went up in flames behind me. The great thing about revenge is that it doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't need fireworks, dramatic confrontations, or a crowd of people gasping at the perfect one-liner. No, the best kind of revenge is subtle, quiet. The kind that sneaks up on a person when they least expect it and leaves them wondering how, exactly, their life turned into a flaming pile of disaster. Jessica was about to experience that firsthand. Step 1 was already in motion. The joint account now contained the kind of balance that would make a college student cry, and her little getaway with Landon the first-class fraud was about to hit a serious financial roadblock. Step 2? That was going to be even more entertaining. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found the one person I knew could make this even more fun, Troy. Now, Troy wasn't just a friend. Troy was the friend. The one who had spent years warning me that Jessica was the kind of person who would sell my kidneys on the black market if she thought she could get away with it. The one who never trusted her fake supportive wife act. The one who was going to love this. I hit call. Troy picked up on the second ring. "Tell me you finally left her." "Oh, it's better than that," I said. She left me for some guy named Landon. There was a pause. Then, laughter. The kind of laughter that could make a man choke on his own drink. Shut up. I wish I was kidding. Oh, this is beautiful. I know. Troy took a deep breath, clearly savoring the moment. All right, what's the plan? And please tell me it involves ruining her day. Troy, I said, smiling, it involves ruining her entire year. First, we handled the apartment. Jessica, in all her brilliance, had never put her name on the lease. See, when we moved in, she decided she didn't want the stress of dealing with landlords, so everything, including the utilities, was under my name. At the time, I thought it was just laziness. Now, I realized it was freeing, because now I didn't even have to kick her out. I could just move. And I did. By the time Jessica landed at her luxurious hotel, probably feeling real smug about her little escape, Troy and I had already started boxing up my things. Well, my things. Her stuff? That was going straight into a storage unit under her name with a single prepaid month. After that, not my problem. The apartment keys were left with the landlord along with a note that said, vacant as of today. All future rent is not my concern. That was just the start. Jessica wasn't just a cheater. No, she was an efficient cheater. The kind who planned things weeks in advance, right down to the fake work emails and the perfectly timed business trips, which meant she had spent months carefully crafting her exit. Too bad she didn't realize I could dismantle it in a single afternoon. Next, I made a few calls. Jessica's gym membership? Canceled. Her streaming subscriptions? Gone. The online shopping accounts tied to her shared credit card? Disabled. The pending order for that custom furniture she insisted on? Called the company, gave them a little sob story about a tragic financial situation, and boom, order canceled. Troy was practically giddy watching me work. I have never been prouder of you. Oh, we're not done. Because then, there was Jessica's car. Well, my car. Jessica, bless her fraudulent little heart, didn't technically own a vehicle. She just used mine. Because it made more sense financially, and why buy another one when we can just share? So, obviously, the logical thing to do was sell it. I listed it online at a ridiculously low price. Not so low that it was suspicious, but just enough to make sure it was gone by the end of the day. And it was. Some guy named Eddie came by, cash in hand, and drove off with the car that Jessica had once called her second home. Troy watched him leave, shaking his head in admiration. This is a masterpiece. And the cherry on top? Jessica's workplace. Now, I wasn't going to get her fired. That would have been too tough. But what I could do was make sure that her little vacation didn't stay a secret. I drafted an email. Subject: urgent matter regarding Jessica's absence. Dear boss's name. I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to reach out regarding Jessica's unexpected trip, as I understand she mentioned needing time off for personal reasons. However, I believe it's important to clarify that her emergency leave may not be quite what she described. Attached, you'll find a travel itinerary she left open on her personal laptop. I thought it might be relevant to your records, considering company policy on planned absences. Best, Joseph. I stared at the screen for a moment, appreciating the sheer passive-aggressive brilliance of it, then hit send. Troy exhaled dramatically. I think I just fell in love with you a little bit. I get that a lot. By the time we finished, it was dark outside. The apartment was empty. My things were packed and sitting in Troy's truck. Jessica? Well, Jessica was probably sipping some overpriced cocktail in a fancy hotel, thinking she had just pulled off the perfect plan. She had no idea what was waiting for her. And that was the best part. The beauty of revenge isn't in the action itself, it's in the waiting. The silence before the storm. The moment when the other person, the one who thought they had everything under control, suddenly realizes they've walked straight into a disaster of their own making. Jessica had no idea. No idea that our bank account was running on fumes. No idea that our apartment was no longer our apartment. No idea that her 5-star vacation was about to be downgraded to, how are we paying for this? I didn't check my phone for hours. Partly because I didn't care, but mostly because I knew the moment I did, the notifications would be glorious. Troy and I sat in his living room, watching some terrible action movie where the hero had the survival skills of a cartoon character. Halfway through a ridiculous chase scene, my phone finally started blowing up. Troy muted the TV. This is it. I flipped the phone over. Jessica, 15 missed calls, 22 texts. Oh, this was better than I expected. The texts were a mess. No careful phrasing, no strategic wording. Just pure, Desperate, frantic chaos. Jessica, what did you do? Jessica, where is our money? Jessica, my card was declined at check-in. What is happening? Jessica, answer me right now. Jessica, Joseph. Jessica, where is the CAR? Jessica, did you actually move out? Jessica, are you insane? Jessica, call me. Troy grabbed the phone and scrolled, his grin widening with every message. Oh, man. She's spiraling. Like a fine-tuned symphony. Then, the grand finale. Jessica, after presumably screaming into the void for a solid hour, had resorted to the classic move of the guilty. Jessica, let's talk. Please. I just need to explain. There it was. The moment every cheater reaches when they realize they no longer control the situation. I leaned back in my chair. You know, Troy, I think I'm feeling generous. Oh, I think I'm going to call her back. Troy's eyes widened. This is a historic moment. Hold on. He grabbed a bowl of popcorn. All right. Proceed. I hit call. Jessica answered before the first ring even finished. Joseph. You sound stressed, I said, keeping my voice as casual as possible. Rough vacation? Her breath hitched. You emptied the bank account. Technically, I just moved the money. My money, if we're being specific. Which reminds me, how's Landon? Silence. Then, quietly, this isn't funny. No, you're right. It's hilarious. Joseph. No, I get it, I interrupted. You planned your whole little escape. The luxury hotel, the first-class flight, the romantic getaway with a guy who signs his name like a villain in a bad novel. And you almost pulled it off. But you forgot one thing. She swallowed. What? You're not smart enough to get away with it. Troy practically fell off the couch. Jessica's breathing was uneven. I don't know what you think is happening. Oh, I know exactly what's happening. I picked up the printed emails I had taken from her work laptop, even though she couldn't see them. By the way, your job might have some questions for you on Monday. Her voice broke. What did you do? I simply forwarded some interesting reading material to your boss. You know, the confidential company files you so helpfully emailed to Landon. Jessica's entire soul seemed to leave her body. You're lying. Oh, trust me, I wish I was. But, lucky for you, I gave them a nice little heads up. So if you get fired, that's on you. Jessica made a choked sound. Why are you doing this? Jessica. I leaned forward, like I was actually enjoying this conversation. You left me. Not just emotionally, but literally. You planned an entire escape. You emptied half our closet. You booked a one-way flight with someone else. And you expected me to do what? Sit at home, clueless, until you decided to grace me with the truth. Silence. Here's the difference between us, I continued, my voice light. You planned your betrayal weeks in advance. I ruined your life in one afternoon. Troy fist bumped the air. Jessica's breath came in short, panicked bursts. Joseph, I wasn't. No, I said, cutting her off. We're not doing that. We're not pretending this was a mistake. You knew exactly what you were doing. You just didn't think I'd catch on. She was quiet. Then, barely a whisper, where am I supposed to go? And that was when I knew I had one. Because this wasn't about love. This wasn't about regret. This was about comfort. Jessica had never expected me to fight back. She had never thought I'd leave first. She assumed I'd be waiting when she got back, a pathetic, broken mess, begging for answers. Instead, I had erased her safety net. I leaned back, exhaling. That's not my problem. She inhaled sharply, about to argue, but I hung up before she could get a single word out. The second the call ended, Troy jumped off the couch, arms in the air. That was beautiful. I grinned. I think she took it well. Troy wiped a fake tear. A work of art. I set my phone down, feeling lighter than I had in years. Jessica was officially out of my life. She had no access to my money. No home to come back to. No car. No safety net. And as for me, I had exactly what I needed. Freedom. The thing about freedom is that it doesn't hit you all at once. There's no dramatic music, no slow-motion montage where you walk into the sunset. It creeps up on you in small, ridiculous ways. Like realizing you don't have to check if someone else left wet laundry in the machine. Or noticing that the bathroom sink stays clean because you're the only one using it now. Or, in my case, waking up and remembering that I no longer have to spend my mornings listening to Jessica complain about things that weren't even problems. It had been 3 days since our last conversation. 3 blissful, drama-free days. Jessica had gone completely silent, which meant one of two things. She was still processing the fact that her perfect little escape had imploded. She was plotting. I wasn't sure which option was funnier. I spent the first day moving into a new place, not a sad, lonely apartment, but an actual nice one. No weird stains in the hallway. No neighbors who exclusively communicated through loud stomping. Best part? No one criticizing my lack of interior design sense. Troy, being the absolute legend he was, had taken it upon himself to help me furnish the place, which, in his mind, meant dragging me through every furniture store within a 20-mile radius while saying things like, "This couch gives off emotionally stable vibes. You need this." The second day was even better. Jessica's job fired her. I found out through an unexpected source, her now former coworker, Lisa, who had apparently been waiting years for Jessica to crash and burn. Lisa's text was simple. "Lisa, just wanted you to know your ex-wife is currently packing up her desk in tears. You're a hero. Couldn't have happened to a better person." Which brings us to day 3. I was standing in my new kitchen, enjoying the quiet, when my phone buzzed. Not a call, not a text, an email. From Jessica. I stared at the screen for a solid minute before opening it. Subject: please read. Joseph. I know you probably won't believe me, but I never wanted things to end this way. Bold of her to assume I'd believe anything she said at this point. I made mistakes. I was selfish. But what you did, leaving me like that, humiliating me, ruining my job, was tough. I'm not even angry anymore, just disappointed. Ah yes, the classic, I betray you, but you're the bad guy routine. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I at least deserve a chance to explain. Can we talk? In person? Jessica. I stared at the email, then burst out laughing. Troy, who was halfway through setting up my TV, looked over. What now? I tossed him the phone. He skimmed the email, then gave me the same look you'd give someone who just announced they were running for president with no experience. Is she serious? Oh, absolutely. She called you tough? I nodded, which is hilarious, considering she cheated, stole from me, and tried to disappear. Troy let out a low whistle. You gonna reply? I thought about it. Then, grinning, I typed out a response. Subject: no thanks. Jessica. I read your email. Thought about it for a solid 0.2 seconds. And I've decided, no. You don't deserve a conversation. You don't deserve an explanation. You already made your choices. You just didn't like the consequences. Have fun explaining yourself to Landon. Joseph. I hit send. Troy clapped. That was beautiful. And just like that, it was over. No long emotional conversations. No unnecessary drama. Just a clean, well-deserved ending. For the first time in years, I felt completely free. And I was never looking back. Thanks for watching. Rate the story in the comments. Subscribe to the channel